Well, let me just make a formal introduction. It's a real honor to have Governor Lamont join us today, the 89th governor of the great state of Connecticut. I have heard it said that this is a governor who has very little political experience, and that's not at all true. He served in his community on the Board of Finance. He served as a selectman. He knows what it's like to be answerable to the public. And one of the things I've heard here that I saw all the way through the session is that many people say we don't always agree, but they get along and they work together, and that's a hallmark of Governor Lamont's administration. He is a governor who truly embodies the open door policy, and you can give him your suggestions and he will listen. So with no further ado, Governor Lamont, please take the floor. Welcome.
I think in politics, everybody does give you their suggestions. And thank you for that introduction. I have done some things in the public service, which Matt mentioned, but I'm also the first business guy that's led this state in many, many years. And just taking a look around town hall here, and I got to tell you, I like to see Connecticut a little more like Bethel. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. This is a town that's expanding. You have a grand list that's expanding. Residences, people moving in here. You've got companies coming here as well. And that's what we haven't done in the state of Connecticut going back now well over a generation. We have fewer people working today than we had a generation ago. And we've got to do something there. And that involves taxes, that involves transportation, and that involves education. And I'll just give you my thoughts on that real fast, because I want your feedback. I really need your feedback. I love getting out of Hartford, to tell you the truth. But I'm only there half the time. Number one, what I heard wherever I go is, unlike your town, Connecticut, get your fiscal house in order. I hear that wherever I go. And we have more fixed costs. That's pension and health care costs. They're going up like this. Debt, borrowing is going up like that. And our revenues are sort of flat. So it's, these folks here know I've got to change that trajectory. I want our overall growth in the state to go like this and hold our fixed costs down a little bit. And we just started to do that in this budget. We held the line on spending. We did not increase any tax rates. My number one priority was keeping faith with our towns and cities, and that includes municipal aid. We held flat for everybody so they could plan accordingly. And state aid to education, towns like yours that have a growing student population got a little bit more. And Matt, the other thing that was really important to me, get the budget done on time. Get it done on time. 2 years ago, they got it done in late October, November. Your first selectman and superintendent of schools didn't know what they were going to get and couldn't plan accordingly. And I wasn't in a position to promise a lot of new money because we inherited a deficit, but we were able to keep faith and we were able to get it on time. Secondly, there's some good news in this state that sometimes people underestimate. And part of that is we have thousands of really good jobs we're having a hard time filling. And shame on us, we lost 1,500 jobs last month, you probably saw that. And we have tens of thousands of jobs we can't fill in advanced manufacturing, and submarines, jet engines, and right up here as well. And shame on us. My job when it comes to investing in education, making our community colleges more affordable. Will Haskell, by the way, played a big role in that, making sure you'll be able to graduate from community college with no student debt over the next few years. We're making a big effort in that direction so that we train people for the jobs that are going begging out there right now. And that's how I keep the great businesses here in the state of Connecticut. Because as you look around this country, there's a global search for talent. And I want to make sure you don't have to search any further than right here in the state of Connecticut. And we train people for the jobs that are going begging right now. And that's what we got to do. We could talk a little more about that. You mentioned the business entity tax. Something else we're working on is giving companies a tax credit, where you hire a Connecticut graduate and forgive their student loan. We give you a corporate tax credit. So the best and the brightest who come to Connecticut or educated here in Connecticut, graduate here in Connecticut, they have an extra incentive to stay here in Connecticut. The final thing is, I saw some of my friends from the No Tolls group out there, is transportation. And we can have a good, frank debate about transportation, but what you gotta know is our roads and our bridges are in a state of some disrepair right now. The gridlock on our roads and highways is really slowing up transportation. And our rail service is 10, 15 minutes slower than it was 10, 15 years ago. And there, ironically, there's a little bit of bipartisanship, only in this sense, that the Republican plan calls for additional money, about $750 million. And they want to do it through borrowing, putting that on the taxpayers. And the Democratic plan, or at least my plan, I cannot speak for anybody else, would have electronic tolling. And we can have an honest debate about what's the best way to do this, or is there some middle ground and compromise? But if you want to get this state growing again, I got to hold the line on spending, hold the line on taxes, invest in education, and fix our transportation system. And I'll just leave you, with one other thought, just because some people worry about state governments getting bigger and bigger, or we're not dealing with the future. I'm doing everything I can to invest in the future. I'm not doing a lot of new borrowing. I think we borrow too much as a state. I do think we're addicted to debt. But one place I'm putting money into is technology. As I'm looking around, I'm looking for technology here as well. We don't have there's a group called Department of Administrative Services. What they do is purchasing, they do IT, they do personnel. And I have somebody who spent 12 years at IBM heading that up. And what that means is you're going to see, who was it that came up to me and said, the passport, the parks thing, why is that by car? Because I have 7 cars and I got to pay, 7 times. And you do that all manually. And we're going to move all of state government over the next 10 years so you can do that digitally. You do that online. So state government, there's a digital front door. That may mean not as many state employees, but those state employees that have more of a administrative computer orientation, so we can lean up our state government, make it more efficient, make it less expensive, and more convenient for each and every one of you. I'm a guy that comes out of the IT world, so I have a little bit of a different background. And I'd really love to hear your comments, and ask all of us, by the way, because I can't do anything without our friends in the legislature. And as Julie said, I think we got a lot done. Whatever you may be on, you heard about minimum wage, you heard about paid family and medical leave. Maybe you didn't hear about 5G, which is how we get the highest speed internet service in the country here in Connecticut first, including right here. You want to keep young people in the state, make sure that they can do everything in Bethel that they can do in Brooklyn, New York. And just as high speed or faster high speed, we put in place a bill that takes out all the roadblocks, allows them to put the transponders up in our public buildings. So we are going to be a state-of-the-art state where young people can come, they can grow, they can start a business. If they got to go to New York twice a week, God bless them. They'll be able to do everything right here. And that's how amazing towns like Bethel continue to grow and prosper. So with that, I'd just love to hear your comments and observations, and ask us all, because you've got all the different branches of government represented.